Did you know a California county just won a major court fight over groundwater, while New Mexico is spending $12 million to protect families from toxic PFAS chemicals? Add to that record rain in Utah, a high-stakes Supreme Court decision over water exports, and new cyber threats to America's utilities. This week's water news is loaded. Welcome to Western Water Weekly.
We start in Northern California, where a Humboldt County judge has rejected a lawsuit filed by the group Friends of the Eel River. The group argued that the county failed to protect salmon and public trust resources from groundwater pumping. Judge Kelly Neal disagreed, saying the county already met its duty through its Eel River Valley Groundwater Sustainability Plan. She explained that the public trust doctrine requires balance, not absolute protection, and that courts will not micromanage how counties meet that duty. The county must still file annual reports and update its plan every 5 years, but for now its science-based approach stands as lawful. In New Mexico, state officials announced a $12 million plan to connect about 100 Curry County homes to a clean water system after widespread PFAS contamination near Cannon Air Force Base. Tests showed that nearly everyone in the area had PFAS in their blood, and those living closest to the base had triple the levels of others. The new funding allows EPCOR to extend its Clovis area water lines east of the base, offering voluntary connections to affected households. Officials called it a long overdue step toward public health protection. Legal battles with the Department of Defense, however, are still ongoing over cleanup authority and access to the site. Good news in Utah. The new water year began with record-breaking rainfall, nearly 5 inches in Salt Lake City, the wettest October ever recorded there. That early rain matters because nearly 95% of Utah's water supply comes from snowpack. Wetter soils now mean more snowmelt will reach rivers and reservoirs instead of soaking into the ground. Soil moisture is already about 10% higher than average. Officials say it's a great start, but caution that conservation programs like Slow the Flow are still essential to keep the state drought resilient. Utah's Supreme Court also issued a major ruling this week. The justices unanimously upheld the state engineer's decision to deny a Colorado company's plan to pipe 55,000 acre-feet of water from Utah's Green River across Wyoming to Colorado's Front Range. The court said Utah's export laws are valid and not overridden by the 1948 Upper Colorado River Basin Compact. The company failed to show that the water could be put to beneficial use under Colorado law. The decision reinforces Utah's control over how its water leaves the state and ensures that any future exporter must prove real, lawful use on both sides of the border. After severe flooding in southwest Colorado, the Division of Water Resources released new safety guidance for homeowners with flooded wells. The message is simple. Any well that's been underwater must be disinfected before use. Floodwaters often carry bacteria, sediment, and debris that can slip through tiny openings in well caps. Officials urge owners to hire licensed contractors, pump and disinfect wells, test for bacteria, and properly seal any that cannot be repaired. State engineers remind everyone that protecting one well protects the whole aquifer. On Thursday, the Environmental Protection Agency launched new tools to help water and wastewater utilities defend against cyber attacks. The materials include updated emergency response plans, cyber incident templates, and procurement checklists that help utilities evaluate vendors before purchasing critical technology. EPA analysts say many utilities, especially small rural ones, don't realize that some of their control systems are visible on the open internet. These new tools are meant to change that. Assistant Administrator Jess Kramer said it best, "Cyber resilience and water security are key to national security." On Friday, the EPA also announced big progress along the U.S.-Mexico border. After a 100-day review, construction schedules for wastewater control projects in the Tijuana River Valley have been shortened by 9 months. Crews already replaced 23,000 feet of leaking sewer pipes and upgraded major pump stations. A 10 million gallon per day expansion of the South Bay International Wastewater Treatment Plant was completed in just 100 days, years ahead of plan. Officials say this accelerated pace could finally reduce the sewage spills that have long plagued beaches and neighborhoods in San Diego County. Meanwhile, negotiators from the 7 Colorado River Basin states remain deadlocked just days before their November 11th deadline to outline new management rules. The dispute centers on how much the Upper Basin, Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, and New Mexico should conserve during drought, and how Lakes Meade and Powell should operate. Lower Basin states want broader shared reservoir management, while Upper Basin states say that would limit flexibility and reward overuse downstream. If no deal is reached, the Department of the Interior could impose federal rules, or the issue could land in court. Utah officials have warned that without an agreement, some users could face curtailments even in municipal systems along the Wasatch Front. And finally, despite the ongoing federal government shutdown, the U.S. Drought Monitor released its latest map on schedule, and the news is mostly positive. Heavy early season rain and snow improved drought conditions across much of the West. Overall drought coverage fell from 80% to about 74% of the region. Northern California saw major improvement after up to 8 inches of rainfall. Utah and Nevada held steady, and Colorado and Wyoming remain mostly stable, though still drier than normal in parts. Looking ahead, the forecast calls for a quiet start to November, then wetter conditions returning to the Pacific Northwest and Northern California, a hopeful sign for this winter's snowpack.
And that wraps up this week's Western Water Weekly. For full details on these stories, or for fresh water and climate news delivered every day except Sunday, visit western-water.com. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for next week's news.